We're back with another episode of Weights and Wealth. Thank you for spending your time with us. We really enjoy this, and we hope that you enjoy our production as well. Speaking of production, you may notice that we got real lights in here. So we've been slowly integrating everybody's suggestions. In the future, we hope to maybe dress up this wall a little bit.
Maybe some intro music too. We've gotten intro that music a couple times.
Yes, intro music is coming eventually. We've been quoted for it, and we're trying to find a way around an expensive way to do it, since this is more of a hobby and not a cash flowing business for us.
Yet.
I like the optimism, Nick. All right. So last episode, we started with our new segment of Weights Wisdom of the Week and Wealth Wisdom of the Week. Nick, would you like to give us our Wealth Wisdom of the Week?
Yes. This week's Wealth Wisdom is to get a credit card. Similar to last episode, we talked about how the length of your credit is factored into your credit score. So the sooner that you get a credit card and start making even just small purchases on it and just paying off the entire thing, that will help you to start building credit. You do have to be 18. So if you are under 18, you can't get a credit card just yet. But I would really recommend getting a credit card as soon as you become an adult.
If you trust yourself to spend responsibly and not treat it like free money.
Right. Yes. You should still be budgeting, and everything that you are spending should be in your budget. And I would just put it on a credit card instead of on a debit card.
Yeah.
And speaking of good things to do, it's good to eat eggs, right, Ted?
Yes, it is very good to eat eggs. I'm glad that people are finally starting to realize the big ag and government lies of eggs are bad for you and will give you a heart attack and kill you. There's actually some research that I came across that shows that some of the proteins in eggs help prevent blood clotting. It prevents the coagulation of blood. So that's pretty interesting. And Nick, would you like to go down a rabbit hole here?
I would love to. Love myself some good conspiracy theories.
All right, cue the evil maniacal music, and we're going to go into the story of Big Egg here. We think we're the first to break this conspiracy. We haven't heard this from anyone else. So you may have heard pieces. We're going to give you the dots, and then maybe we'll connect them at the end.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I just gave you the first dot, that eggs help prevent blood clots. Again, this is all, we're not saying that these dots all connect. We're just giving you the different dots here. All right. Eggs can help prevent blood clotting. There's been a lot of mysterious, sudden blood clots recently. Have you heard these stories, Nick?
I have heard about an increased amount of blood clots.
And sudden deaths.
Sudden deaths, things. Yes. The news that's been reported doesn't seem like they really know what's causing it. I don't know. I might have a hypothesis.
Okay. We'll maybe integrate that hypothesis at the end. The next dot that we can go over is the avian flu. I think everyone has heard of the avian flu killing a bunch of hens with the increase in egg prices. The avian flu has been kind of the main culprit for the sharp increase, 80%, 100% increase in egg prices at the store, correct?
Yes, I think so. Although, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Nick, do you know how many laying hens were killed by the avian flu in the past 6 months?
I mean, the sheet says 44 million.
Okay.
So
we have our outline. I did the research ahead of time. So 44 million dead laying hens from this year's avian flu.
Is that like a big percentage, or is this one of those things where there's like for every one person, there's 10 chickens or something like that?
You're asking questions that I do not have the answers to.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out 44 million. No, is that like half the population of chickens? Right. A tenth?
So the next statistic I have here is that there were 36 million dead laying hens in 2015 due to an avian flu outbreak. And when I was finding that statistic, I think it said that was 12% of the population. Okay. So if you assume that it's roughly the same or slightly more number of laying hens that we have now from 2015, then that 44 million might be in the ballpark of 15%. If we were just to extrapolate, maybe closer to 20. I'm not sure if the number of eggs that we produce has gone up or what have you, but
that's
probably
a good percentage.
Yeah, 15 to 20% is a pretty good percentage. So as I said, there were also 36 million dead hens in 2015, and egg prices did not sharply increase the way that they have recently in the past couple of months in 2015.
No, because I know hens have also been laying fewer eggs.
Yes.
And I've been reading a little bit about it. There's this feed from Tractor Supply Co. called Producer's Pride that supposedly has been making hens not lay as many eggs. There's this guy who's working on my parents' house right now, and he has hens. And he was over the other day, and I was just chatting with him, and he was like, Mike, my hens really haven't been laying eggs recently, and especially with the egg prices going up, that's kind of hurting a little bit. And I was like, where do you get your feed from? He was like, Tractor Supply Co. And I was like, And then he eventually switched feeds, and now his hens are laying eggs again.
Okay. Has this guy had chickens for a long time?
Yes. So he knows how many eggs a chicken normally lays.
Because I was going to say, it is normal that they lay less eggs in the winter. They kind of base the number of eggs that they lay based off the amount of light they get. So they'll lay less eggs in the winter, and some people will artificially put light in the chicken coops to make them still produce more eggs over the winter. So if it was like his first time having chickens and he noticed that the amount of eggs he was getting in the winter went down, and then now that it's getting into the spring, it's going up again, that would just line up with the season and not the feed necessarily.
How do you know this?
Coincidence. Because Alex and I want to have chickens, right? Yeah.
I know you were talking about trying to start a homestead for a while.
Yes. So. Yep. That's still part of the plan.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Right.
5-year plan, 10-year plan.
5 years. Wow.
We're not communist China over here, but we do have our 5 and 10-year plans. Mm-hmm. All right. So what Nick was saying with the Tractor Supply Company feed, I looked into this after Nick told me about it. And the articles that were coming up were all talking about how conspiracy theorists on social media were saying that the feed from a couple different suppliers was causing their hens to lay less. And every article I found on it said that this was purely conspiracy speculation and was not valid. We'll link one of those articles right here. So Nick, you're a conspiracy theorist. What are you even talking about?
Well, I mean, okay, generally once mainstream news articles saying conspiracy theories are saying this and here's why it's wrong, that's when you know it's usually right.
The flash to bang time on conspiracy theories in the past 3 years has been roughly 12 to 18 months. So
okay, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. A lot of turnaround.
I mean, the JFK one, that one took a good 50, 60 years, but that's just because they were hiding the documents.
All right, back to the big egg conspiracy. We've gone over egg preventing blood clots. We've gone over the avian flu. We've gone over the Producer's Pride feed causing hens not to lay eggs. And also, you may have heard that the eggplant in Connecticut that burned down, it was one of the country's largest eggplants, I guess, killed another 100,000 hens. So there's another uncorrelated dot for you. And then also connected to the Tractor Supply Company feed, I saw on social media some European farmers that were saying, hey, we have all these eggs. And they were showing all the eggs they had. They said, what's happening is the grocery stores are increasing the prices, but they're not giving us any of that increased profit. They're keeping all of it. So we have all these eggs, and they're not paying us enough to get the eggs. So it's not a production issue. It's more that the grocery stores aren't paying them what the eggs are worth.
So now we're bringing in big grocery too.
Yes.
Is there any specific grocery store they were saying? Is it like these like small?
It's Europe. These were all the videos I saw were European farmers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Any speculation as to why?
Well, if we wrap up the whole big egg conspiracy and say that Big Pharma and Big Egg are colluding to sell less eggs, that would be the logical conclusion, of course.
Is this so that Big Pharma can sell more of their own products because eggs are
good for you and make you healthy?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's interesting. I was reading something not related or not too related. It's about eggs though. You know how the ones that have the orange yolks tend to have more nutrition, minerals and whatnot in them?
Yep.
Well, I was reading that some egg manufacturers or I don't know, farmers.
Don't say they were dyeing them.
Whatever you call them. Not dyeing them, but they're feeding them turmeric.
Okay.
Which is orange and apparently turns the yolk more orange. So
I like how you included the L in yolk there.
Yolk. Yolk. It's spelled YOLK, sir.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. But yeah, they're feeding their chickens things that are orange colored so that their eggs come out more
to make
orange.
the yolks more vibrant. It's interesting.
I've been getting this brand called Happy Egg recently.
Yeah, I've gotten those before.
Oh, you have? Those are super orange. I don't know if they feed their chickens turmeric or not.
I don't know. Yeah, so usually they're more vibrant if the yolk is more nutritious. They'll be more of like an orange color. So a lot of times if you get the regular cheap eggs in like the blue styrofoam or the pink styrofoam, those yolks will be a lot more pale than
like a bland yellow.
They'll be like a bland yellow instead of the pasture raised, free range, organic eggs that are usually more vibrant, or maybe they're just using turmeric. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, let us know what you think about the big egg conspiracy. We didn't necessarily draw the final conclusion. We'll leave that to you, but we gave you some dots. So comment and let us know what you think about big egg. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone to the gym while you're sick before, Nick?
Yeah, I have. It's okay to go to the gym when you just have like a head cold, isn't it?
Well, so if you're going to the gym, you're adding a stress to your body, right? I've talked before about the stress bucket, where all these different stressors, kind of your body just recognizes total stress. It doesn't kind of partition off these different stresses. It just goes by total stress. You can throw mental stress, emotional stress, financial stress, physical stress. You can throw that all in like the same bucket. And if you have too much stress, you're not gonna have the adaptation that you want. So if you're sick, your body is already stressed and your immune system's stressed. And if you add a physical stress on that from going to the gym, it's probably just going to take you longer to get better. So I don't recommend going to the gym even if you just have like a little cold. I would rather get over that cold faster and then be 100%.
Okay, and I know we're doing a whole episode on this, but by stress, does that mean like a certain amount of cortisol and that your body's producing? Because I don't know, at least like going to the gym, I enjoy it. I mean, yes, it's a physical stress, but also mentally I enjoy it.
So acute stressors will like raise your cortisol, but not all forms of stress raise your cortisol. Like I don't think having an immune system reaction raises your cortisol like going to the gym would.
Okay.
But I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
But okay. So don't go to the gym if you're sick.
Yeah, I would not recommend going to the gym if you're sick. Also, just like as a courtesy thing, you don't want to get other people sick.
That's true.
But one time in college when I had mono, it was over a winter break. For when you get mono, I think they say that like your spleen hardens or something, so you're not supposed to work out for like 6 weeks, just in case you have some sort of impact. Your spleen, when it hardens, it can like explode or rupture or something much easier. I don't know. That's what they say. So my mom was like, no, you can't go to the gym. Even once I was better, there's like a post mono time that you're not supposed to go to the gym for a few weeks. But I wake up early, so I'd get up at 4 and escape off to the YMCA.
Sneak out to the gym. Was this in high school?
No, this was in college. I think this was sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'd sneak out to the gym, and my mom...
Did you open your bedroom window and tie the sheets together?
Escape like Rapunzel. No, so my mom started like putting Post-it notes on the island at my seat at the island saying, "Ted, no gym." And so when I wake up in the morning and go downstairs, I would see that and, oh, no gym. Oh, I can't go. Okay, I guess I'll just go back to bed. Nope, I would just go to the gym, obviously. So then my mom started progressing things and she called the YMCA and canceled my membership so that I couldn't go to the gym. So I just had to wait till I got back. It was like a couple days till we got back to Dayton. So then I started going to the gym again. Yeah, can't stop us from going to the gym, right, Nick?
Nope, not at all.
All right, Nick, we have a shout out today. Our shout out is to Carter from Columbus, Georgia. He shared the show on his Instagram, so thank you, Carter. Shout out this episode, and the big egg conspiracy theory it goes out to you today. And everybody watching, if you want a shout out, just make sure you share our show and let us know.
Mm-hmm. So on to today's discussion.
Talking to the mic, please.
Oh, am I?
Yeah,
okay. Sorry
just
about that.
For the listeners.
Yeah. We'll be talking about quality purchases and quality reps. Quality is very important. Sometimes it's better to spend more on something and get something that will last you a while than to go the cheaper route and spend less in the present.
Yes.
So, that's just things with like clothes, shoes. You can buy a more durable pair of shoes that'll last you, 3-4 years rather than one that'll go bad within a year. Even if the one that, if the one that will get ruined after a year is half the price, it still makes more sense to get the more expensive one. Mm-hmm. And I think this also kind of goes into single-use items. Like single-use items are really, really popular, which I was just kind of thinking about it. Like it kind of blows my mind just having something to use one time and then just throwing it away.
Plastic water bottles are the prime example here.
Yeah. My dad always talks about how when he was younger, the idea of buying water was just crazy. Like if you're on a road trip, you just go to the water fountain and drink from that rather than buying a bottle of water.
Yeah.
And then, there are just other things like plastic forks, plates. I was thinking even like paper towels, and I'm not going to give up paper towels, but like you don't need them. You could just use a regular towel and, wash it at the end of the day.
Are you going to get rid of plastic water bottles from your life? You're a big,
no, I'm a
big plastic water bottle
I
guy.
am. Yeah. I do have like a regular water bottle, like a metal Yeti.
About time. In college, for years, we tried to get you, we sometimes would buy you a water bottle and be like, Nick, please use this water bottle. Stop using all these plastic water bottles. Stop killing the turtles.
The problem is I usually lose my water bottle. So if I lose a $1 water bottle, that's not that big of a deal. But if I spend $20 on it, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah. You're good at losing your phone and water bottle and stuff like that.
I'm getting better. I've had this Yeti water bottle for 2 years now.
Okay. That's pretty
maybe
good.
3 years. But yes, I'm going to try to get away from the plastic water bottles. Also because I don't like drinking out of plastic as much.
Yeah.
But now they're also like disposable razors, disposable toothbrushes, which those are very convenient for traveling. But it just still kind of feels like a waste. And then there's food waste too, which is huge. I think the FDA estimates that 30 to 40% of the food supply is just wasted.
Wow.
Now
here, Clean Plate Club.
No, yeah. Which only a fraction of that is at like the actual consumer end. It starts with the farm processing and like transporting it at the actual grocery store, and then to the end consumer. Mm-hmm. But like 30 to 40%, especially with how high food prices are right now, if that was actually used, that would be a huge savings for a lot of Americans.
Yeah. That's one of the things I really like about the whole nose to tail movement that started in that carnivore kind of diet community. Mm-hmm. And you see it taken to an extreme with like Liver King and stuff like that. But eating nose to tail helps. Like a lot of farmers wouldn't they wouldn't sell those organs necessarily before, but now there's a big demand for them. I mean, just look at the price of liver now compared to a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah. I was trying to find grass-fed liver by me, and there's a store that sells it for $27 a pound, which was just absolutely insane.
I think we talked about this before on the podcast. Oh, maybe it was a clip. When I was editing, it was right before the podcast started. We were talking about the price of liver, and then I was like, oh, I'll bring you some from White Oak Pastures. So maybe next weekend I'll bring you some.
Okay, yeah. And I mean, in Milwaukee, I was getting it for, I think, like $5 a pound.
Yeah.
So I'm still looking for a butcher around here. So if anybody in the Charleston area knows a good butcher, please let me know. So speaking of organ meats, what are some of your favorites?
So when we were in Milwaukee, I made heart, and you were a little skeptical at first, but I got you to try it, and then you were like, "Oh yeah,
it was heart jerky." That's what I.
Well, I made jerky, but I also made like steak heart, like heart steaks.
Well, because I've made it since, and it hasn't tasted as good as I remember it. Okay. Which I mean, it was like okay.
I'm an excellent cook, so of course.
Okay.
But when we were in Milwaukee, I made heart a couple times, and then I made a bunch of heart jerky out of it too. I brought some of the heart jerky into work and was giving it to people at the gym. And
did you tell them what it was before you gave it to them?
I think
or did you just say it was jerky?
Mike, I tricked. I think Mike tried it, and I didn't tell him it was heart. I told him it was just jerky. But yeah, that was pretty good. Tasted good. I made a couple different flavors of it, and that was good.
Heart's probably my favorite so far.
Yeah, you like liver a lot more than I do. I don't really like the taste of liver. I'll put like an ounce in my ground beef and just mix it in, and then I won't really taste it. But just like eating liver straight, I'm really not. I can't get over the taste.
I would say I can tolerate it. I wouldn't say that I like it.
It's so nutritious though. Like it's worth the bad taste. You know. Like,
yeah. Which I mean, putting it in like ground beef. When I started to eat liver, I was putting it in guacamole, just little pieces, and just eating it. It's a good way to cover up the taste.
Yeah.
Tons of vitamin A and iron, and does it have vitamin
Literally
K?
Every micronutrient.
Which supposedly you can overdose on it. I don't think.
A, D, E, and K are fat soluble vitamins, so your body will store them as opposed to the other vitamins, which are water soluble, and you'll just pee out. So A, D, E, and K you technically can overdose on. Pretty rare because most people are deficient in D. They're deficient in K. Cheese is a good source of vitamin K. And then A, the form of vitamin A that most people eat. We'll go over all this. We're going to do a full micronutrient episode, but the beta-carotene form that's found in like sweet potato and carrots is not as bioavailable as retinol that you would get in liver. So most people don't get enough vitamin A, or if they do, they're not going overboard on it.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I was just gonna say that I think that it's recommended not to eat more than a quarter pound in a day or something
of
like
liver.
that.
Yeah. I'm not gonna have a problem doing that.
Well, I mean, I was eating like a half a pound for a day for a little while, and then I actually went to the naturopathic doctor, and she even told me to chill out with it.
Liver King 2 over here.
Yeah.
Back to the quality purchases. You and I both purchase something that is not quality that I feel waste money on, because we wind up buying it several times because it's a poor product. And I'm talking about the earbuds that we use. We both use like the crappy knockoff Bluetooth earbuds. They're like $20. What are they? $25?
Yeah, I mean, I just got another pair the other day.
Yeah, so did I a few weeks ago.
$25.
Yeah. So you and I get those instead of something nicer like AirPods. Part of it for me is I'm afraid of losing something like that, because I have lost them several times. If I lose them, it's $20. I'll just get another pair. But we definitely spend way more than like for how long AirPods would last us, because the ones that we get, the brand we get, is pretty crappy and it only lasts like 6 months.
Yeah. I think the last pair I had lasted like a year or so.
Okay.
But you can lose them, and then putting them through the wash. I have a bad tendency to leave them in my pocket and throw them in, and then throw them in the wash. But But I don't know. Do AirPods break? Or I mean, I've never had it. I don't know.
I don't know. Alex,
Or
you have AirPods?
Yeah. I've had mine for like a year and a half.
Year and a half?
Yeah. I love them.
Okay.
So, pretty good.
I am just skeptical of Apple products because they do have the planned obsolescence with the iPhones.
Right. Conspiracy 3 of the episode here.
No, I feel like this is a well-known thing where the iPhone, it just, as it ages, it just gets slower because the software that they use just doesn't work anymore.
The software eats itself like Pac-Man. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know. They just get slower and slower and slower. And Alex is backing me up on this.
So you'll buy a new phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Gotta get that iPhone 15. iPhone 14's not good enough.
No, yeah, I think I have. I don't know what I have right now. But
The iPhone thing, when people talk about getting the new iPhone, always cracks me up because Nick here likes to rock the oldest possible iPhone he can find since he loses his phone all the
not
time.
anymore. Okay, I think this is the 12. I'm pretty sure this is the 12.
How many phones did you have throughout college? He lost his phone so much. I don't understand how you would lose it that often.
Probably. Well, no, I wasn't losing it. I was breaking the screen. Yes, I probably had like 5 or 6 different, but they were iPhone 5s, so it was $50 if I had to replace it. But I don't do that anymore. I buy a case and I take care of my things now.
I feel like we told you to do that. Like
You probably
every
did.
month for like 40 months.
Probably did, but I didn't listen.
Anything else with the quality purchases?
No, I mean, I guess another thing I would just say, like with the iPhones, it blows my mind that Nokia made an indestructible phone in the 90s and the iPhones like break and get slower really quickly. I don't know. I think that is built into the device somehow.
The battery definitely deteriorates over time.
It does.
I think we can agree 100% on that.
That's only like $10 or $15 to replace, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's pretty. I haven't done it on a recent phone because my battery life's been fine. But when I had like the 4 and the 5, I would replace the battery. It's like $10 or $15.
Moving on to the weights portion of this episode. We're going to talk about quality reps. We talked about quality purchases. Now we'll move on to quality reps. One of the most obvious reasons that you want to prioritize having quality reps and having good form when you lift is the possibility of injury with poor form. We talked about ego lifting a couple episodes ago. I think that was episode 11. So check that out if you missed it. We got a lot of positive feedback on that episode. But with ego lifting or overdoing it, trying to lift a weight that you can't lift with good form, you might increase the potential of injury if you have really bad form when you lift. So we always talk about having either a friend that really knows what they're doing, not just someone that says they lifted and squatted 400 in high school but hasn't lifted since because they hurt their knee or something. Don't listen to that guy. Listen to someone that actually knows what they're doing, or get a trainer. And also you can learn just from watching videos online as well, but try to prioritize learning the skills of squatting and deadlifting and overhead pressing and these kinds of movements, and make sure that you're using good form. Aside from just the injury possibility of having bad form, another reason to have quality reps is the range of motion aspect. If you increase the range of motion that you're lifting with, you can increase your gains. For example, who wants more glute gains? I think everybody, right? Well, if you go all the way down on your squat and you go below 90 degrees, that's where you're going to see really all the glute gains from a squat. It's going to come from going deep, going below 90.
Do have one question on that, because when I front squat, I find it easier to go ass to grass than to stop at 90 and then go back up. I think that's because of the stretch reflex.
Yes, that is definitely part of it. And by the stretch reflex, Nick means whenever you are at the end of a rep, you get that kind of like a bounce. That's the stretch reflex, where you get that bounce and kind of accelerates, and you use momentum to get the bar or the dumbbell or whatever back up. So that definitely does aid you. In your 405 squat the other day, you could see the bounce in the video where you had that nice stretch reflex at the bottom of the squat that helped propel you back up. But when you increase the range of motion of a movement, you are also oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes increasing the range of motion that you're taking, the primary muscle that you're targeting. You're increasing that range of motion for that muscle. So for the glute, for example, you're not targeting at much of a lengthened position if you're only going down 90 degrees, but if you're going all the way down in your squat, you're taking that muscle through a much more lengthened range of motion, much larger range of motion, and oftentimes larger range of motion equals more gains. It's not like a 100% rule, because for some exercises, if you use a shortened range of motion, it can still be good. It depends on, I guess, the intent. But generally, if you're new to the whole lifting thing, if you want to follow the rule of thumb that more range of motion equals more gains, it's correct a lot of the time. So.
Yeah, and I mean, even with just like making your form better, that's another way to do hypertrophy. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Hypertrophy.
Yeah,
hypertrophy. Yes. Just because I mean, like for those of us who follow us on or for those of you who follow us on Instagram, you saw that I squatted 405 for the first time since I started lifting again, and like my form wasn't the greatest. I mean, I don't know.
Good.
I mean, I don't know. I saw some hip shifting, and I think my legs went up a little quicker than my torso did.
Yeah, on the way back up, you did have a little bit of like that. Your hips rose, and then you had a little bit of like the good morning aspect of the squat. But I mean, whenever you're handling loads that are that high up in your percentage 1 rep max, your form's not going to be perfect,
Yeah.
So
But I mean, like a way to make the weight heavier without actually making it heavier is just to have perfect form.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you're going through a larger range of motion and you're prioritizing good form, it's going to make the exercise harder. So that's definitely true. A goal of like bodybuilding, for example, when you're lifting in that style is making lighter weights feel heavier, right? So that's why they use a slower tempo or go through different ranges of motion to make those lighter weights feel heavier so that they're managing the load on their body. Because when you're looking at programming, one of the things you want to do is manage the total load.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about that the other day. A lot of old school bodybuilders do a 4-second eccentric phase.
But you never see people doing that at the gym with every rep.
I mean, I have started to work some stuff like that in on my accessories. Like I'll do a dumbbell press where very slow. I mean, I'll take like 60, 65 pounds, do like a probably 3 or 4 second eccentric phase, pause at the bottom, and then just explode as quickly as I can. Yeah, I think it helps.
2-second concentric, 2-second pause, 4-second eccentric is like how your reps are like supposed to be done. But you don't see, like if you look at like studies, a lot of times that's how they'll force people to do the reps. But people don't normally lift like that at the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I do back off squats like that too. So it won't be super heavy, but slow on the way down, pause at the bottom, and then just explode up.
But yeah, that's a great strategy to help manage load and not be at a super high percentage of your 1 rep max, but still get gains from the lift and put tension on the muscle, especially like eccentrics and isometrics put a lot of tension on the muscle. So that's the main driver of building muscle is tension. So
isometrics when your muscle is still.
Yeah. So if you look at just a bicep curl for each of these examples, concentric would be doing like the curl, right? Eccentric would be on the way down. So if you're resisting, but your muscle is lengthening, that's the eccentric when you're coming down. And then isometric would be if you're just holding like steady, but your muscle is resisting the force, but it's not lengthening or shortening. And the last thing that we have for quality reps is don't short yourself with a short range of motion. And by that, it's not the same thing we were just talking about. I'm talking about mobility gains from doing a larger range of motion. So when you have these quality reps and you're going through a longer range of motion, if you go through that larger range of motion, you can actually increase your mobility, because at these end ranges here, if you have tension on the muscle at those end ranges, that's going to increase your mobility, because a lot of times if you're doing mobility exercises, you're getting to these end range of motion, but you don't really have much tension on the muscles. You might squeeze the muscles that you're doing the mobility exercise for, but you can get a lot more tension, obviously, if it's like a loaded exercise. So one way to increase your squat mobility is to squat deeper and have some weight on your back. So you might want to do that with a lighter weight to start out, but one way to progress with maybe your hip mobility in your squat would be to go from spending time in the deep squat at body weight to then slowly increasing the weight you use, so that your muscles are having tension on them while you're in that deep range of motion.
Okay. Is there any point where somebody's range of motion isn't good enough where you wouldn't recommend them to squat very deeply or even squat at all?
So it's really going to depend. You don't want to force a square peg into a round hole, right? So if I have someone at the gym that has really poor mobility, I might not start them off on a squat. I might start them off with some machine leg exercises and work on increasing their mobility. Maybe have them hold a weight out in front of themselves as they do a squat so that they can get deep, as opposed to having like a back squat, and work on their mobility there, and then slowly progress the center of mass closer to their back. It's their center of mass, we're putting it in front of them with that weight in front of them. They're going to be able to get deeper. This is why I like using a front squat for some people before a back squat. A lot of people say that your front squat requires more mobility because of the whole front rack position, which is true, but I generally find that if you do like a heel elevated front squat for people, you're able to get them into that deep squat much easier. And that's a tool you can use for squats if you have limited mobility, is elevating those heels a lot of times will help people get much deeper. I've done a post on this for Tez Lift Help, so I'll link that post right here. But yeah.
I mean, I just did front squats the other day, and I definitely, like you definitely need to be more mobile to get them in. It also works your core a lot more.
Yes.
Felt it a lot when I was doing the front squats.
I love front squats for teaching someone how to brace their core. Because and also for your like mid and low traps with your back, the front squats, I feel like they help you engage the trap muscles a lot more, as opposed to someone that doesn't really have any experience squatting. If they go into a back squat, they might not be squeezing their back at all. They might just, their back might be kind of loose. But to teach that back tightness with all the different muscles, where you're talking about the traps or rhomboids or lats, for beginners, they might not know how to squeeze those muscles and get that tension in the back.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like to have the barbell on your back, you got to have it flexed, or at least for people, a low bar squat.
Yeah, absolutely. But some people just kind of rest it on their shoulders. So the front squat is a great tool for teaching different aspects of the squat. So I use that a lot when I train people.
And it makes it harder without increasing, because I mean, it's a harder lift, so you don't have to go as heavy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can still work the muscles really well.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's all we've got for you today. So please be sure to like, share, subscribe, give a 5-star review if you think that we deserve a 5-star review, that kind of thing. And share the podcast with people that you think would enjoy it.
Yeah, and please follow us on TikTok and Twitter too. I feel like I still feel like I'm posting into the void. Our TikTok's at 6 followers. Twitter has about 3. So please follow us on one of those mediums.
All right. Thanks, guys.